I must confess, Monday mornings are dreadful. I dread Monday mornings. Yeah? And this one is no different. Yeah? No different. We are getting more and more now about that crash. Yeah? In Clarendon this morning, which has claimed the lives of, we were told, 2 students of Lennon High School in Clarendon. Lennon High School in Clarendon. Yeah? And we are now learning that a 3rd student of Lennon has died. Yeah? That's what we're now learning. A 3rd student has died. The police, they have issued a statement, or we have had an update from the head of P-STEP, ACP Gary McKenzie, who said the crash occurred on the Bustamante Highway about 8:30 this morning, involving a grey Toyota Probox registered PK9000 and a black Subaru motor car registered 5518JY. The preliminary information, according to ACP Mackenzie, is indicating that the Toyota motor car was traveling westerly and the Subaru easterly. The initial indication is that the Toyota motor car failed to keep to the left, causing the collision. Several students of Lennon are injured, and unfortunately, two have died. 1 male, 1 female. Well, the latest we have had is now telling us that 3 students are now dead. Yeah? And we have some video coming in of the crash site. Yeah? Don't know the details yet, but what we do know is that we are losing too many lives on our roads in entirely preventable and avoidable motor crashes. Too many. And we see it around us every day on the roads. Our drivers and our pedestrians just constantly flout the rules of the road. Especially our taxi drivers, public passenger vehicle drivers, they are reckless and dangerous. And we see it in the fatalities. Now 3 students, that's unconfirmed, but 3 students, and we're getting this from a very reliable source. One of the responders have now told us that 3 students of Lennon are dead. This is going to be a very, very, very difficult time for their parents, their siblings, their families. Yeah? But that is the news we have to tell you this morning. Not good news. Not good news. And we can only urge people, I do it here every morning, virtually, every week. to urge the drivers of the public passenger vehicles, slow down, obey the rules, don't overtake recklessly. Yeah? Don't. Because when you do so, you're putting your lives at risk and the lives of the passengers in your vehicle. And we're killing too many people on our roads, unnecessarily so. Unnecessarily so. Yeah? Well, it's a difficult Monday morning, and another reason why it is difficult, I woke up on Sunday morning, yesterday morning, to the news that the councillor for the Denham Town Division in West Kingston, Germaine Hyatt, had died Sunday afternoon at the Spanish Town Hospital of a suspected heart attack. And I was in shock. And I'll tell you why. I met Councillor Hyatt. Yeah? I met him on November 21, week before last Thursday, while on an outside broadcast at the Tivoli Gardens High School, of which he's a graduate. He was there to attend the conference, the constituency conference of West Kingston. And my producer had lined up several interviews, including him. He was the first. And you know, I have interviewed many councillors, MPs, politicians. And I went into that interview thinking it was going to be one of those routine interviews. And I was taken by surprise. I was taken by surprise because, whether for better or for worse, we have a certain perception of councillors, parish councillors. Yeah? And Councillor Hyatt does not fit into that mold. He didn't. And I'm going to play back that interview for you this morning, because the tragedy about this is he was only 44 years old. He was clearly one for the future. He was tapped, identified by the late Edward Siaga as someone he wanted to mentor to assume leadership. And he was on his way. At the time of his death, Councillor Hyatt was pursuing a doctorate, a PhD in educational leadership at Northern Caribbean University. He had already completed a bachelor's degree in mathematics and a master's in mathematics. And it was obvious that he was preparing himself for higher leadership. Yeah? And then the other thing that is in the mix. Do you know that since the February local government elections of this year, there are now 4 councillors who have died? 4. 3 JLP councillors, 1 PNP councillor. May 1 this year, the councillor for the Morant Bay Division in East St. Thomas, Rohan Washibran, died. September 1, it was Marjorie MacLeod McFarlane of the Inn and Town Division in Northern Clarendon. On November 13, it was Councillor Christopher Townsend of the Olympic Gardens Division in the Prime Minister's constituency of St. Andrew West Central. And Saturday, November 30, yes, Councillor Germaine Hyatt was number 4. And I say this in all seriousness. If you're a councillor, you better be careful. You're an endangered species. 4 since February have now passed. And Councillor Hyatt had made his mark. Yes, the tributes to him clearly indicate that this was a young man, a young councillor, who had begun to distinguish himself at the local level. Yeah? He was elected first in the November 2016 local elections. Prime Minister Holness described him as a committed servant of his community, who was always striving to bring positive change to the lives of the people he served in Denham Town. The Mayor of Kingston, Mayor Andrew Swaby, says Hyatt was a brilliant, pleasant, and promising leader who always carried himself with respect and humility. I could see that, having sat with him in that interview. Promising. The JLP Deputy Leader and his Member of Parliament for West Kingston, Desmond McKenzie, says Hyatt's passing comes only 2 weeks since the death of Councillor Townsend of the Olympic Gardens Division.
It is a sad loss for the constituency. It is the second councillor in the era council that would have passed in less than 2 weeks. Again, our condolences to Germaine's family and to the people of West Kingston. I know you are mourning, and I will mourn with you because this is a great loss to our constituency.
Desmond McKenzie, the JLP Deputy Leader for Area Council 1 and Member of Parliament for West Kingston. After the break, you're going to hear that interview, and I'm playing it back because I've had many requests for us to rebroadcast that interview. Yes? Because this man, Germaine Hyatt, made such an impact. Someone just told me, Cliff, I'm in tears. I was so enthralled by him when you interviewed him. That was the kind of impact he made week before last Thursday. We're getting more reports on that fatal crash in Clarendon, which killed at least 2 now confirmed dead students of Lennon High School. We hear a 3rd has also passed. We haven't confirmed that yet. We're going to have more on that. But back to Councillor Germaine Hyatt of the Denham Town Division. He was a guest of ours at Nationwide at 5 on November 21. November 21. That's 11 days ago. 11 days ago. And that is why it has jolted me so much, because in my 30-odd years, I've interviewed thousands of people. And you know, some interviews are memorable. You don't forget them. That interview with Councillor Hyatt was one of those memorable ones that I cannot forget, because it took me by surprise. He spoke about how he entered representational politics, yes, under the mentorship of former Prime Minister Edward Seaga. And he also spoke to me about plans to serve at the parliamentary level in the future. Here's that interview with Councillor, now the late Councillor of the Denham Town Division, Germaine Hyatt. We have joining us a Councillor for the Denham Town Division, one of the 2 divisions in West Kingston. We have the Tivoli Division and the Denham Town Division. The Denham Town Division is represented by Germaine Hyatt in the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. Good evening, Councillor Hyatt.
Good evening, Mr. Cliff, and good evening to your viewers, and thanks for having me.
Tell me, how long you been in the politics? You look like
I-
a relatively young man.
Well, I've been councillor from 2016, but I've been politically trained from a teenager. I was in Young Jamaica when Andre Franklin was president, and I was brought in by Mr. Seago. He met me when I was in my youth club in Denham Town, and he said he saw something in me and he believes I'll be an excellent representative. So he said to me, Germaine, stick with me and I will take you there.
What did he see in you?
I ran a youth club, started at the age of 15, and we won Youth Club of the Year through SDC. And the SDC, the Gleaner came and did an article on us.
Yes.
And someone read the article and called him about it and said, Mr. Seago, congrats. We saw one of our youth clubs from your community won Youth Club of the Year. And he wasn't aware of the work we was doing.
Yeah.
So he told us that he called the councillor Leslie at the time to ask her, who is
The
this?
late Lorna Leslie.
Lorna Leslie. No, she's still alive.
She's still alive?
Yes, she
oh
is.
dear, Jesus.
Yes, so it's not
Oh,
late.
yes.
Yeah, so he called Councillor Leslie to say to her, who is this Eagle Hikers? And Councillor Leslie said, Mr. Saga, there's some youths that have meeting down by 19 Wellington Street. So he came to the meeting and he told us how we got information, and he was astonished to know that we were doing so much in the community and he was not aware. While I was chairing the meeting, he sat at the back, he watched me chair the meeting, and then he spoke to the gathering, and afterwards he called me aside and he says, you are a special one. I want you to come and see me. And the rest is history. I'm where I am now.
What year was that?
That was, I think, that was about 1994.
30 years ago. And here you are now.
Yes.
A two-term councillor? Or
Yes. Yes, I'm doing my
terms.
second term now.
Denham Town is a tough part of West Kingston, like most parts of West Kingston. It's
Yes,
a
it
tough
is.
area.
Yes, it is.
Yeah? For you to be councillor there, you have to come in contact with the people on a daily basis. You see the challenges, the problems, and the good things up personal and close.
Yes,
How
I
difficult is that?
I will admit that initially it was a bit challenging. My first 3 years was like a learning curve. Even though I born and grew up in the community, I was schooled in the community, we became councillor, it seemed as if I wasn't from the people, because your perspective is no different as a leader. And I had to be re-educated, to frankly speaking. And I get to understand how they think, how they operate, their commitment, their passion. And I listen to them, and that is important. I listen to them, I listen to how they speak about all the previous leaders, our current leader, our previous councillor. And I said, okay. And I sat down and I formulate how I'm going to approach them. And I approach them, and I be gentle when it's time to be gentle. I be forceful when I believe it's time to be forceful. And to let them understand that how things are now is not how it ought to be, and it would have to change.
Yeah.
So it has been challenging, but thus far I believe I have garnered more support amongst the people. They're seeing the vision and they see where we're going, and they're on board.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that you have to listen. Yes, but when it's necessary, you've got to be forceful.
Yes.
Explain that for me.
All right, so I give a prime example. One of our areas, because I'm doing some infrastructure work, and this road, it's called Littlewater Street. So the residents on Littlewater Street have opened their gates and they step on the road. And I said to them, this is not how people live. You open your gate, you stop on the sidewalk. From the sidewalk down into the street, and the sidewalk is for pedestrian traffic. So I decided I'm going to put in the sidewalk through the council. And when I met with them and said we're going to put in the sidewalk, they rebelled. And
Rebelled?
they said they don't want a sidewalk.
Oh.
If I leave them alone, they don't want a sidewalk. And I remember one resident said to me, I'm going to carry KCC, go court, and I'm going to bring in the fire brigade, and I'm do all kind of thing. And frankly speaking, I listened to him. I sat down and I listened to everybody. I tried to show them the vision that this is not how people live. They could not see it. Other members of my team came in, the contractor came in, and they would not budge. And I just listened, and the contractor talk, everybody talk. And then I just get up and I said, I hear what I know. I hear everything, and I said, but guess what? It's going in. And I left. The work started, the sidewalk went in. After it was completed, they came back to me and said, Councillor, we never know how to take a look. You know what you do for us? Put a gate down there so we want to lock ourselves in. We want to be a gated community now.
Okay.
Because it's a dead end road. So they want me to put a gate at the bottom of the road. I said, we can't do that. We can't segregate the community.
Yes.
And I said, I will explain the vision. If you don't see it, I have learned this in leadership. Sometimes you don't see where your leaders is going, but you have to trust your leader based on his credibility, based on what you have seen he has done in the past.
Yes.
And if you see a pattern, okay, I'm going to trust you. So I said to them, if you don't see it, trust me.
Yes.
So that is one of the instances where I had to just say to them, other times when I'm doing projects, I will meet with them and say, okay, we have these funds available from the council. We have these options, what do you want to do? And we sit down, meet with the team, and then they make the decision, because I believe in that as well.
And we are speaking with a councillor for one of the two local divisions in West Kingston, the Denham Town division, Councillor Germaine Hyatt. He was telling me in the first segment how he was recruited into the politics by the late JLP leader and Prime Minister, Edward Seaga.
Yes.
Any regrets now?
No.
You sure?
One thing he had, after I got elected, 2016, he called me and he said, Germaine, come and see me. And I went to my university. And I spent the entire day with him. It was a day of lecture. And he was telling me, how am I supposed to operate? And one thing he said to me, Germaine, I will teach you this. Take care of the people. He says, when the time comes, they will take care of you. He's also saying to me that, he says, West Kingston people...
I hear Andrew Holness saying that as well. He said apparently that was a key lesson he tried to pass on to those in whom he had seen leadership potential. That was a mantra.
Yes.
He went by, take care of the people, stay with the people, and they will take care of you.
Yes, that's what he told me.
And I have to ask, is that part of the intense loyalty that we saw the people of West Kingston having for Edward Seaga?
Yes, and I will tell you this about West Kingston. And Mr. Mackenzie, is our member of parliament now. Persons outside will think that people in West Kingston are forced to be loyal or committed.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I can tell you, Cliff, that is not the case. Our people, we have been trained. Mr. Seaga, Mr. Mackenzie have been with Mr. Seaga since he has been a child. I consider myself Mr. Seaga's last political child. And we have learned that service to people. That's what we do. Mr. Mackenzie does the same thing. Councillor Samuels and myself. That's what we do. In return, the people give their loyalty. So there's nothing that we do other than that. And I tell you, when we are offering service, the political colors doesn't come up. Doesn't come up. So when Mr. Mackenzie is big on education. I always say to people when I have a private conversation, I say, listen, man, say anything you want about him. When it comes to education, hands down. When Mr. Mackenzie meets students who are going to university, who are having challenges, he ensures he does his every best to ensure that they gets there and they get through. I personally have brought persons to him as well when we identify them. And nobody ever asks them, where's their political loyalty?
What about your own education? How
Well,
has that been?
I have a mathematics degree. I have a degree in mathematics. And I also have a master's in mathematics education.
So you're a teacher? Or?
No, I don't formally teach.
Yes.
But yes, I'm big on education.
Yes.
Yes, I am.
So what do you do outside of your political work?
Well, I operate...
A master's in mathematics?
Well, to be honest, I've been asked by a particular university to come in and do some teaching. I'm not able to take on that now because I'm doing some further studies.
You're doing the PhD?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Yes, I'm doing a PhD in education.
Mathematics education?
Educational leadership.
Oh,
Yes.
what do you hope to do with that?
Well, I believe in preparation. You're preparing for event that comes, opportunity that comes, and you want to ensure that when that time comes, you are properly rounded.
It seems like you're preparing yourself to be member of parliament. You want to go further into politics.
Well, frankly speaking, that is something that is known. My member of parliament is aware of that as well. I sat down with him a few years ago and I did say to him, sir, I want you to know when the time comes, I will be putting myself forward. So I did have that discussion with him, and it was a frank discussion, and Mr. Mackenzie, of the credit, he was welcoming, he did not push me back,
Yes.
and he says, you know, he understand. So yes, if God decides, if I get Mr. Mackenzie's support and the people's blessing, which is important, because without the people, you cannot serve them without their blessing. That is essential. They have to want you to lead them, especially West Kingston people.
We're speaking with Councillor Germaine Hyatt, and I didn't know this about you. I just talked with you, learning a lot about you. Where did you study and focus on math?
I did my first degree at Northern Caribbean University, and I did the master's at Michael.
And Michael?
Yes.
Oh.
And I'm now doing the PhD at Northern Caribbean University.
Wow.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 44 years old.
44?
Yes.
Still young.
That's what Percy says.
Yeah. So outside of the PhD studies, yeah, and do you care to tell me what you're focusing on in terms of your dissertation?
Leadership. All right, so I sit on the school board of Denham Town High School with board chair Faye Hutchinson, and we have been doing a lot of work there in terms of transforming that institution. What persons don't know, and maybe I'm letting the pussy out of the bag now, and I am the engine behind the change.
Oh, okay.
So, and frankly speaking, it came from my studies, and it came also from the PhD program, and it came from my passion for the community and understanding that education is the driving force to change what is happening in Denham Town.
Yes.
So when I went and when the member of parliament placed me on the board and we recognized some problem in the school, I brought him in. I said, Mr. Mackenzie, I need to come talk to some parents and some students because we're having some serious challenges. And Mr. Mackenzie came, he met with them, and he met with the teachers as well, and he brought us to meet with the Minister of Education at the time, Mrs. Williams, and we had a discussion. I told him where my headspace was, that I wanted to remove the current curriculum and focus on literacy. Because when we were in the board meeting, we found out that students are graduating and they cannot read. I was astonished.
At grade 11?
Yes, and Faye said in the meeting, our chair said, this can't continue. And the chair turned to me and she said, Germaine, I'm leaving you to fix it. And I said, okay, chair. And we took it on. Ms. Richards, who's currently the principal, is a part of the team. Mr. Peart was a part of the team. And we get other persons outside to come in, and we started the process of training the teachers in literacy. And then we started training the students. And we recognized the behavior the students started to change.
For the better?
For the better.
Yeah.
So the school is in a better place now. It's not where we want it to go, but it's a better place. So, yeah, so I am the quiet, I'm this kind of personality. I'm the quiet one and just make the decisions. And I give credit to my member of parliament. He seemed to have a lot of faith in me.
Yes.
And I will report to him and keep him abreast of the changes and what is happening.
So, Councillor Hyatt,
Yes.
you're a mathematician.
Yes.
Yes? Where did that love, interest begin? Where? How?
I tell you, because I attend Tivoli Garden High. This is the school I attended.
Oh.
So when I was doing my CXC math, my math teacher at the time, Mr. Roberts, he said to me, Germaine, you know you're very good at math? I said, I don't know, sir. He said, hear what? You're so good, I'm going to teach you to do math with CXC math. So I'd actually both at once, and I passed both. When Mr. Siago told me I need to go to do further studies now, and he said to me, get himself into a university, and I said I want to do political science. He says, no, Germaine, you don't need to do political science to be a politician. He said, I want to do something practical. What are you good at? I said, sir, well, I'm good at math. He says, well, math is something that is in high demand, always will be doing man, go and pursue math. And that's how I went to do the degree in mathematics.
Wow.
So I have this, those who know me well will say to you, he has the ability to analyze, see things before it comes, break things down. And so I have it naturally, and then the training mathematically, it just compute everything together. So when I say problems, I just naturally my problem solve.
Yes.
So when things come before me, I just break it, look at it, and I just put it apart and put it back together and say, okay, that is the way forward. So it's just a natural thing.
So Edward Philip George Seaga had a huge impact on your life.
Yes, honestly, I love that man dearly. I can't deny it. He has. I said he saw something in me, took me, and I watched him. I admire him a lot. I admire his love and passion for the people. It was second to none. And, you know, truth, none of us, and Mr. Mackenzie will openly agree that he cannot walk in Mr. Seaga's shoe. Neither did I. Neither can I.
Yeah.
Based on the standard that he has set. But we have to still nonetheless try our best because the people keep us at that standard.
So, Denham Town, how is it doing?
It's much better than it was a few years ago. A few years ago we was riddled with violence. But now it's not that bad as it. We have on and off now and then, but not like before. So the Zozo unit in the community years ago, we used to have Zozo stations at different areas, intersections. That don't exist anymore. So the community is largely united. And I said we have some issues now and then, but it's much better. The people are more comfortable. And I'm happy to see the children them can move about. So it's a better place now.
All right. Well, I learned a lot about Councillor Germaine Hyatt. Yes, he went to Tivoli Gardens from where we're broadcasting, Tivoli Gardens Comprehensive. He has a first degree in mathematics, a second degree in mathematics, and he's now pursuing a PhD in educational leadership.
Yes.
And clearly, you need to remember this name, Germaine Hyatt. Yes, he could be the next member of Parliament for West Kingston.
Well, I said that had to be with God's blessing. I know I'm going to need the member of Parliament blessing as well and guidance.
Yes.
And the people.
Right.
And that is essential. As I said, if the people don't wish for you to lead them, you will never
And it
lead
won't
them.
happen.
Especially these people in West Kingston.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hyatt.
Thanks for having me.
Good.
Wow. That was hard to listen and to watch. If you're just joining us, he's now the late Councillor Germaine Hyatt. He died on Sunday evening, sometime around 6-7 p.m. at the Spanish Town Hospital of a suspected heart attack. He was only 44.